8:15. You know, we always get to check in with our guy, Sean Salisbury, joining us from Houston. Sean, maybe we'll start there. We got a lot of football to talk to you about, but man, your Houston Rockets embarrassed the Kings for the last two performances.
Yeah, they playing pretty good basketball now. Started slow. I mean, they got hammered early and then went on a roll, I believe, won 3 straight. And they're playing better. The key for them is to play defense. And I know we say that for everybody, but they have had in the last handful of years. The commitment to defense was, when Harden was there, and after that, trying to get buy-in to defense became a problem for Coach Silas, and even before that. And now Udoka comes in, and they started off slowly, but holding teams under 100 points will give you a chance to win all the time. They can score. They're young and a little bit immature. Adding Van Vliet was important. They will put the ball in the basket. The key is their commitment to sustained commitment on a defensive end and contest shots. And the irony of it is one of the great coaches of defense and effort on the planet, even though he doesn't have to coach effort, is Kelvin Sampson for the for the Cougars basketball team, the college team, and we got him right here in town. So the defensive effort and contesting shots is something that if they can sustain, it will turn into something, because Jabari Smith can 3-and-D and D you up and, hit knock down a 3, go play defense on the other end. Jalen Green's got scoring ability, Şengün. They're pretty athletic. Now they just got to learn to sustain it and understand success, but they're playing better after their first, 2 or 3 game start.
Yeah, I want to put your kind of your former competitor athlete hat on here. If you're the Kings, where you had a great season a year ago, kind of had the breakthrough, it's still really early, but to be you lose a game, it happens, but to be embarrassed twice in a row when you play the same team feels really early to do a little soul searching. But what do you think is going on in the Kings camp right now?
Yeah, and I also, with that, a team that didn't win 30 games, so it can be debilitating for you if you let it. That comes into veteran leadership. A lot of times we rely, that's the coach's responsibility. Well, a lot of times on veteran teams, and they got a taste of incredible success last year, is to veterans in the locker room to say, this isn't going to fester. We're not letting this hang around. This is going to happen. Losing streaks happen. It becomes more pronounced 2 ways, at the end of the season and at the beginning of the season, because we're fresh and we want to know how they're coming out, especially after what Sacramento did last year. And then at the end of the season, because you don't want your season to end. So while it is early, there's a lot of basketball to be played. They got 2 choices. They can let it affect them to the point like a quarterback does when he throws an interception and you throw 2 more. Or you can come back and say, we got beat by a talented team, but it shouldn't be playing like that against us. What does it do to you? Does it light a fire under you, or do you go in the corner and wilt? I think the Sacramento Kings will respond, because I don't think last year was the aberration where it's like, yeah, this is who they are. I think they're closer to this year, I'm talking about the start, this is who they are. I think last year isn't an aberration. It's closer to who they really are. So, listen, I don't ever panic this soon about anything. I look at the Cincinnati Bengals. They were left for dead the first 3 or 4 weeks. Everybody had them done. Now they're as hot as any team. And it's the same with Sacramento. I think there's too many good players, and I think the support they're getting. They got beat by a team that was more ready to play, and when you don't score 100 points and they can shut you down, they're going to put you in a bad way. And Jalen Green played well, and they got great balance, did the Rockets. I wouldn't worry too much about the Kings, especially less than 10 games in. They're going to be okay, but you cannot let it fester. You got to be able to handle failure, yes, but you also got to be able to handle success. And last year told us they had success. Can they sustain it year 2? I think they can. The question is, how quickly do they get back being who they are?
Sean Salisbury joining us. So, Sean, want to get your opinion, your take on what a lot of people are reacting to your former school, USC. Caleb Williams, obviously an incredible talent. They had a great game against Washington, one of the games of the weekend. But the viral video of him, jumping up into the stands, being with his mother, you could see him getting very emotional, and it felt like that triggered people one of 2 ways. I'd love your opinion on seeing him that emotional on Saturday night.
You know what? For me, I'm trying to figure out why the anger or hatred to him that all of a sudden, and it's buddies of mine too, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. I really don't care about that. I'm just trying to figure out the psychological aspect of why. I mean, okay, as a guy, I'm a little old school, and I take that behind the door, make sure you're in private with your. Then I say, well, because somebody else would, does that mean that he should? I just don't know. Let's remove the field part from it, just off the field, what he did with his mother. I don't know what they're going through. Why would I Why am I going to say, and I saw a guy say, well, I can't draft him. There's no way. He's not going to be a player in the league. Oh, what a horrible leader. Why? Because he was crying with his mom and a paper in front of him. If he would have been smiling, he'd have been vilified for not caring. If he wouldn't have shown any emotion, does the guy care? So he cries, and he's over emotional. He's soft. Listen, I understand the tough guy mentality. It's football and macho, and there's going to be some. And the optics were a little strange to see. I get it. I get the optics, but for people to come on TV and radio, and I saw the social media, I can't draft him. A couple of my buddies that I'm going to get into because I go on their shows, I am going to be all over them. Oh, he can't lead a team. Well, for the last 2 years, he's been football's best player. So on the field, the guy makes every play. There's not a general manager in this league. Now, you may like somebody better as a talent, and that's okay. You may like Drake May. You may like Michael Penix. Fine. But there's not a GM in this league that's going to come to draft day and say, you know what, I can't draft him. He cried with his mom. Who thinks like that? So I'm not that. Listen, we should have been focused on Penix's his game, Caleb Williams' ability, and USC can't play defense. Well, they answered that by getting rid of Alex Grinch and going somewhere else. But I'm trying to understand. Now, let me ask you this: if Shedeur Sanders, I'm just trying to compare the narratives we have about how we feel. And if you don't like Caleb Williams because he's fingernail polish or he wants ownership in a team, fine. I'm just talking about this specific incident of crying because he's emotional over a loss. Okay, I don't think he blamed anybody. He's emotional. Great, he cares. But I'm just trying to figure out, if after Stanford came from behind and went 40 unanswered in Boulder, if Shedeur Sanders would have went to his pops afterwards and hugged him, Dion, and cried, because they got a great relationship and they love each other and it's important, and he cried because he left it all out on the field, what would the narrative be? Would we have said, man, look at this father-son moment, not coach-son, father-son? And I think we'd have probably said, man, they're turning things around. But a guy who's highly publicized, some don't like, plays like a monster on the field. He's the only reason SC's got a chance to win, and a good play caller in Lincoln Riley. Why does crying all of a sudden dictate soft can't lead my team? Some may think that, but you know what 3 touchdowns by September 20th of 2024 does? All that goes away. Say, oh, he can lead my team.
Exactly.
So it's just absurd the way we look at it. Oh, can't draft him first. I can guarantee you that when the draft comes around, that he may, if he doesn't go first, he ain't going third if somebody needs a quarterback. So I just don't understand how we're gonna beat a kid into the ground, whether you like him or not, or like his game or not, over an incident where he's crying with his mom. I don't know what goes on in his life, but I don't think crying with your mom dictates you're automatically soft, because he looks pretty tough on the field to me, and that you're not going to have a good NFL career. I think it's lazy narrative, and quite frankly, I think it's stupid, and it just tells me that a lot of people are quite uninformed about how this position's supposed to be played.
Talking with Sean Salisbury here. Sean, your Raiders, the team you've got an affinity for. We knew they made the move. I didn't know they'd get immediate results. Maybe it's an impact to a little bit of the Giants. That shouldn't even matter. You change quarterbacks, change coaches, and it just looked like they were free, having fun, and they had a really good game. Is this a 1-week honeymoon, or is there a little bit more here with the Raiders?
Well, I think you're spot on. First off, to start with the last part first, listen, they're going to go at a time where they're going to get their ass kicked. They just are, right? Even with Antonio, who I loved the energy. Remember, I've told you on this show, I told you I thought Josh McDaniels would not get through.
Yep.
He wouldn't be coaching, and Jimmy wouldn't be your starting quarterback in 2024. And just sometimes interim coaches come quicker. If you do not get buy-in, excuse me, you can't win. I don't care how talented you are. You have to have buy-in. And they never bought in. And immediately, now it's one game, but they bought into a guy who brought a different energy. You're not walking on eggshells. It's not a abrasive approach. It's I know what you guys are going through, this thing together. It just looked different. And there was a different energy. And you could tell by their comments they want to play for him. And that's important. I'm not even talking about player empowerment. I'm just talking about not even coaching effort, just a different energy that says, okay, this guy makes me want to do things different for him. That's called buy-in. Is it going to last 8 straight games? No. They're going to get beat by somebody, and they're going to come down to earth, but it could last 3. It may last 5. They may go to the playoffs. Who knows? Because energy and buy-in are amazing. And then you get new offensive coordinator. Things just felt different. And it is 1 week. just like Josh Dobbs, who had amazing. What he did in Minnesota last week was off the friggin' chart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you come down to earth. The key is how can you sustain it? What do you do next to handle that success and to stay in the minute, in the mode, in the present? I loved what Antonio did. They needed change. Now we'll see if they can. But I can tell you this, if buy-in matters, and it does, in my opinion, heavily, they'll play harder. And you shouldn't have to coach effort. I don't think Antonio is going to have to coach it because I think they're bought in. It's going to be fun to watch and see where they go from here. They're going to face a hell of a defense with the Jets next week, but an offense that you can actually tear apart because the quarterback situation. I'm anxious to see how Antonio keeps that energy up. It's always easy the first time. Can you keep that energy up when you're down 21-3 in the third quarter and find a way to get back in and win? But I loved where they went. I'm a big Antonio fan, and I think they're headed in the right direction, but it is just one game.
All right, Sean, as we go, tell us again all the great things you're doing with your app and how people out here in Sacramento, really everywhere, can get involved.
Yeah, we got a lot of people. I mean, we're fortunate. We have every game covered with a Manning cast. We call it a media cast type thing, but we also have shows. It's the best fan engagement app where you guys finally get player empowerment. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Just go get the PSF app. It's free. Pro Sports Fans. And as the president of the company, I'm awfully proud of the hard work we've put in building a company. And we're making strides that I went way ahead of where I thought we were. And the next thing up is peer-to-peer betting on there. Wow. With all the shows and betting, the guys, the optics and what you're seeing technology-wise are through the roof. And we got great talent, media casters doing it. Go get the PSF app. It's free. Tell me what you think about it. I think we're on to something game-changing and fan engagement at its finest. And we're great.
We're losing Sean just a bit at the end there. Thank you so much, Sean. That is the PSF app, Pro Sports Fan app. It's like a media cast, like you said, like a Manning cast too, with players and people out there, fans involved. That incredible stuff from Sean Salisbury. Really good perspective too on what he said about the Kings. I hope you got that part, and certainly on the Raiders as well. All right. We got more reaction to the Kings. Certainly we got 4 down territory. Who's hot, who's not. The busy show continues as we got much more straight ahead here on Sactown Sports.
Will Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers brass go all the way this